We about ready, Terry?
Just 1 minute.
Recording in progress.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Insurance Benefits and Ledge Committee for Wednesday, February 1st.
Okay, thank you, Chair Robbins. This meeting is being conducted virtually and in person, so I will do a roll call of the trustees to confirm attendance. Mr. Harris and Mr. Knox are not in attendance today. Ms. Ginsburg? Here. Mr. Santos?
Here.
Ms. Gray?
Here.
Morning. Mr. Bernstein?
I'm here.
Mr. Sanchez?
Good morning, here.
Mr. Oakham?
I'm here.
Mr. Green? Ms. Greenwood? Mr. Kehoe?
Present.
Chair Robbins.
I am present.
Staff participating in the meeting include CEO Santos Kryman, Deputy CEO Louis Lugo, AEO JJ Popowich, Chief Counsel Stephen Rice, Legislative Affairs Officer Barry Liu, from Retiree Healthcare, Cassandra Smith, Director, and Kathy Magida, and consultants Stephen Murphy and Michael Zito from Siegel. Trustees, please use the Zoom raise your hand option to be placed in queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute your mics until you are ready to speak, and we may now proceed with the agenda.
Thank you very much. Item 2 is approval of the minutes of the meeting of January 4th. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Are there
Second.
any changes or corrections? Go ahead and call the roll, Terry.
Ms. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Kehoe?
Aye.
Mr. Oakham?
Aye.
Chair Robbins.
I'll go ahead and abstain.
Okay, the motion passes with 1 abstention.
We are on to item 3, public comment. Is there anyone from the public, Terry, that's?
I have nothing.
Nothing? Nobody standing in the back of the room right there at LACERA with their hand up that wants to talk? All right. We are now on item 4, the engagement report for January of 23. So, Mr.
Thank
Liu,
you.
you're up.
Good morning, Chair Robbins and Board Trustees. Some items of interest for you this month. So the first item is a snapshot of California's population. We know the old saying, as California goes, so goes the nation. So I thought this was an interesting a snapshot of, California. So 1 in 8 U.S. residents live in California. We're the largest population in the country with 39 million people. And second and third would be Texas and Florida. And in terms of population growth, California during the first half of the 20th century grew to 10 million people. And then following in the post-war period, it tripled to 34 million, although that growth has since slowed in the first decades of the 21st century. Also, interestingly, in terms of the population, it's become increasingly diverse. There's no racial group or ethnic group that constitutes a majority. Latinos are a plurality of the state at 39%. Whites are at 35%, Asians at 15%, 5% Black, and 4% multiracial. Also, interestingly, more than half of Californians that are age 24 or younger are Latino, whereas those who are age 65 or older are white. And then over 10 million Californians are immigrants. So if you look at the total population, that's about a quarter of the population are immigrants. And also with some of the population loss that we've experienced, obviously in this last census, California has lost a congressional seat. Also, in terms of growth, LA County has slower growth compared to, say, other areas such as Inland County, Inland Empire, and the Sacramento area. Also, you hear about a lot of people moving out of state. It seems that conservatives tend to move out of state, which could also gradually move, the population more leftward. The next item is an update from the National Institute on Retirement Security. They do their, it looks like biannual pensionomics update. So this one for 2023 looks at data from 2020. And so nationwide in 2020, over 612 billion in pension benefits were paid to 24 million retired Americans. And so more than half of that went to state and local government employees. And those benefits also supported 6.8 million jobs and also 1.3 trillion economic output. But more specifically for California, in 2020, 1.5 million California residents got 61 billion in state and local pension benefits. That works out to about 40,000 a year, so about approximately 3,300 per month in pension benefits. And those benefits also supported over 380,000 jobs and also 11.9 billion in federal, state, and local tax revenue. The multiplier effect in terms of where California is concerned is that each dollar in pension benefits results in $1.24 in economic output, and also each dollar contributed by taxpayers equals $4.59 in total output to the state. The next item is about the city of Juneau. So I reported various times about different jurisdictions that basically changed to a defined contribution plan. They're considering going back to a defined benefit plan. The city of Juneau isn't quite going that far. What they're doing is looking at things like sign-on bonuses, dependent care, flexible spending accounts, and matching contributions to try to attract and retain employees. More than a quarter of the city employees have been on the job for less than a year, and then younger workers tend to stay for shorter periods of time. So you don't really see that longevity that you've seen in say prior generations in public sector jobs. And then the last item is about the Ohio State Teacher Retirement System. Reported in the past that there was an audit that was crowdfunded by or a report that was crowdfunded by the Ohio Retired Teachers Association that talked about that was entitled "High Cost of Secrecy," preliminary findings on the state teacher retirement system. So there are various allegations in that report that led the Ohio State auditor to conduct an audit, but he found that there was no evidence of fraud or illegal acts or manipulation as far as the fund was concerned. One of the things that the retirees were most concerned about was that they thought there were certain mandated cost of living payments that weren't being made, but the audit report found that that wasn't really true. There was a reduction in the COLA, but that's by statute, and also the STRS board has statutory authority to determine when and if to pay a COLA. So basically, they found a clean audit as far as the Ohio STRS is concerned. So that concludes my report. Happy to take any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Barry? I have one for you, Barry, and it may have been asked and answered last month's meeting, but would I be correct in assuming that the Social Security legislation back in Washington died a quiet death, windfall, and the pension offset stuff?
Yes, unfortunately. So as far as the repeal bills went, they didn't make as much progress as the WEP adjustment bill that was sponsored by, at that time, the chairman, Richard Neal of the Ways and Means Committee and ranking member Kevin Brady. So that one seemed to have gotten some momentum, but once it came down to the end of the session, I guess they weren't able to come to a compromise or a deal. So that kind of fell by the wayside. We just found out that for this new Congress, H.R. 82, which was last year's bill, is being reintroduced and from the House, and then I think we expect that the Senate will also introduce a repeal bill. But with the changes in the Ways and Means Committee and also the new Congress, I think we're taking a little bit of wait and see approach to see how this is going to play out, this coming year.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Robbins, if I may.
Sure.
Good morning, everyone. Would you, Mr. Liu, give us a brief overview of the legislative visits last week in Washington?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Santos. So last week, Mr. Santos and Mr. Green, Jason Green, along with our federal lobbyists, had made various visits to Congress. We didn't have as many visits scheduled as before, but now that things are opening up, I think we had 3 days of visits over Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We met mostly with the staff of various legislators, although we did meet Representative Linda Sanchez in person. But I think the visits went very well. We talked about LACERA, and we also highlighted our economic impact study, which the staff of the legislators found very interesting. So I think all in all, it was a very successful series of meetings.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Barry. We're on to item B, staff activities report. Cassandra.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Welcome back, Mr. Robbins. Just two things to report. At the middle of January, we completed the 1099-R for about approximately 311 members. Those are the members that are covering domestic partners on their retiree healthcare insurance. For those that may not be familiar, the federal government doesn't recognize domestic partners. Therefore, the members have to pay taxes on the subsidy amount, the premium amounts that is being paid towards those dependents. And on January 12th, Retiree Healthcare and SEGO conducted our all-day meetings with our insurance carriers to negotiate our 23-24 plan year premiums. We had hoped to bring that to your committee this morning. However, we'll be bringing that straight to the board next month because we're still finalizing and seeking to seek approval for the Board of Retirement. And with that, that's it.
Does anyone have any questions? I know I forwarded to you yesterday, Cassandra, that article out of, I don't know, one of the newspapers in Arizona, I guess. I guess Anthem is negotiating with Dignity Health, and it's the typical negotiations where now they're telling everybody they may lose their health insurance. So.
Well, I did get an update this morning stating that the termination had been extended. Initially, for those that aren't aware, there was discussion about Dignity Health in Prescott, Arizona, terminating their contract with Anthem Blue Cross. That was supposed to occur January 31st, which was yesterday. However, this morning I did receive notification that that termination had been extended to February 3rd. And so I'm waiting to hear, because I did also pose the question of how many members of LACERA would be impacted. They're checking into that for me and have not gotten back to me as far as the count, but they did tell me that the termination had been extended through February 3rd.
Les, I have a question. Cassandra, did you get a general idea about the increases that we are going to receive? I mean, looking at the numbers, they're not, after COVID, they're not great. So what is the general feeling? You don't have to give me specifics, but are we going to be okay in our new numbers that come up for 23?
Yes, I'm happy with the overall final negotiated amount. So, and I think you will be as well.
Good, thank you.
Good news. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, we're on item C. LACERA claims experience.
Morning, Trustee Robbins, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Trustee Holcomb, thanks for asking that question. I think Cassandra's answer is far better than what I would give you, so I think that gives you a good idea where we're looking going forward. I'm going to transition to Michael Zito to walk us through the most recent claims experience data.
Michael.
Michael, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So on the first page, it contains the premium enrollment for plans administered by LACERA. There's been minimal change compared to the prior report. And on the next page, it contains the claims experienced by carrier. The year-over-year trend for Anthem decreased slightly from 11.2% to 10.1% when compared to the prior report. For Cigna, the year-over-year trend decreased slightly from 19.6% to 13.2% when compared to the prior report. And the Kaiser figures were carried over from the prior month's report and will be updated in a future report. Ouch. On the next page contains the claims experience for Anthem plans. The Anthem plans on an aggregate basis, the year-over-year trend decreased from 9.2% to 8.6% when compared to the prior report. And on the next page, it contains the Kaiser utilization. This has remained unchanged from the prior report and will be updated in a future report. On the next page, it contains a high cost claimant report. The year-over-year trend for Anthem increased from 154% to 300% when compared to the prior report, mainly due to members exceeding the polling point, increasing from 17 individuals to 7 individuals to 17 individuals. Total medical claims experience exceeding the polling point increased from $2.8 million to $9.4 million. One individual exceeded $1 million in medical claims due to traumatic brain injury and respiratory failure. And 2 individuals exceeded $900,000 in medical claims, one due to COVID and another due to heart failure. On the next page contains the prescription drug rebate report and remains unchanged and was carried over from the prior report. It will be updated in a future report. And finally, the dental claims trend year over year remain unchanged at 7.4% when compared to the prior report. Vision claims year-over-year trend decreased slightly to 0.4% to $2.33 per retiree per month. And for context, the vision claims, the pre-pandemic vision claims as of December 2019 was $2.38 per retiree per month. Are there any questions?
Anyone have any questions? I am not seeing any.
I have one. What happens to that particular member who exceeded $1 million and the one who has $100,000 to go? Is Anthem Blue Cross going to dump them, or they have to find something else?
Yeah, so we outreach, well, we send members letters. We get a report from Anthem that tells us when they reach 600,000 or above, all the way through $1 million. So we send them letters out ahead of time to assist those members that are in areas where we can get them transferred into another plan so that they're not without coverage. As you know, we have some areas where there is no other plan available, such as the HMOs, and in that case, then they would have to find their own coverage.
So just to be clear, that $1 million cap includes the time before you retired, correct?
No, this is all since they've retired.
Right, all right. Because I've reached $1 million already.
Well, see, and that it's a good thing it doesn't, because, you know, with the ACA, that removed the lifetime max for the active population. So those coming over get a fresh $1 million to start, which nowadays that $1 million seems like it's only 100,000, but they have something coming over, and we do look to see if we can move them to another plan so that they don't go without coverage.
Looks like I better not retire, huh?
I do have a member doing that.
So is Kaiser, maybe.
Cassandra,
Yes.
I have a couple questions. This is Ron Oakham. As I remember, we're at about 125 to 150 over 600,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And were you able to move, you know, we had one situation where we got somebody because they were disabled on Medicare when they were coming close to the $1 million.
Correct.
I don't know what kind of actuarial things, and maybe Mr. Kryman can talk about this, because, you know, you got somebody like Vivian, and how many other people will be concerned about when they retire, go to $1 million, and God forbid they're in another area okay, where they can't get insurance, that's a real issue. And I don't understand why the county is not recognizing that, because when this went into effect at $1 million, I don't know what the cost, I don't know how much cost of money has gone up, but I bet you it's at least doubled. So probably when it started, it was like $500,000, or today it's like $500,000 when it was $1 million. So I don't understand why the hell they're not taking a long look at this and saying, hey, retirees are important. We have what, 25,000, we're spending $60 million a month and they're worried about $2 million. How do we resolve that? And what do we do to get that resolved, Mr. Santos, so we don't put our retirees in jeopardy?
Yes,
I should say, Mr. Kryman.
through the chair, Mr. Robbins, be more than happy to answer that question. It's a complicated question, of course, and I know that LACERA has been dealing with this for, I'd like to say decades, quite frankly, at least since 2013. It was a real issue, and it continues to be an issue. We have been working with the county to discuss the possibility of eliminating the $1 million cap. So there is a team that has been formed with LACERA and the county to review various options that we will be bringing to the board for discussion in the next, I'd like to say 30 days or so. And so the county has been engaged with LACERA. We've been working on it for about a year. I think we've made pretty good progress up to this particular point. The answer hasn't been no, straight out. And so we are still in negotiations with the county about how to proceed and how to eliminate the $1 million cap or increase the $1 million cap. And so I know that Cassandra has done a really good job of documenting the difficulties that our members have had in terms of meeting that $1 million cap. We do everything that we can to outreach to them to make sure they know what their options are when they start hitting that $1 million cap. I know that that one of the reports that I'm still waiting for, and Mr. Murphy and Ms. Smith, Cassandra are working on it, is the relationship between the specialty drugs and the $1 million cap moving forward. I know we went to visit Caremark, I think it was in June, in Chicago, and we had a discussion about that. And so we're in the process of putting that together so that we can present that to the county as well. We have, at this point, shared more information with the county. There has been an exchange of information in terms of the actuarial studies that the county has been looking at to eliminate that $1 million cap. And so Mr. Murphy is in the process of reviewing that. Milliman is in the process of reviewing that as well. And so there has been a really good exchange of information between LACERA and the county. And there are some strategies that the county is considering that I'm not at liberty to discuss at this particular point. But rest assured, we have been sharing information and we are moving forward. And I'm hopeful, quite frankly, that we're going to be able to eliminate that $1 million cap for all of our members moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? You know, this is a really complicated issue, and I know I talk to people fairly regularly that have been told by LACERA what their lifetime usage has been, but if they call the 800 number that we have for Anthem, a lot of times they find out that what our record shows is not what the actual number is, because Anthem's numbers are more recent. So sometimes they can be sitting there at 700,000 and it's actually 850,000, because we all know that medical bills kind of come trickling in, and I can tell you for a fact that's what I'm seeing with my stuff right now is sometimes these insurance companies, you get a bill for something that they did a year ago. You know, and you go, what the hell is this? So I think what really scares me, and this is for Mr. Kryman's benefit as much as anybody else, but I tell you what, the city of Los Angeles is not talking about cutting healthcare benefits. They're not talking about going to a tier 3, which is what the county's talking about doing now. And we all know there's tier 2 retiree healthcare. And those employees are only going to get the member contribution paid for when they retire, and they have to pay the full boat for their kids and their wives or their husbands and their kids or whatever. The big employer across the street is not doing that. And there's also rumors out there that they're even talking about picking up the entire Part B premium, the means tested amount. So, because a lot of their management and upper level people are whining that, and I don't blame them, that the Part B premiums are, you know, they're $600 a month max right now. So I'll tell you, I don't know what the county's thinking, but we're going in a bad direction compared to the competition. So there's a whole lot to factor here, but it's a pretty daunting, I think it's a pretty daunting road ahead. Anybody else have any comments? Anything else you want to add, Mr. Kryman?
No, we will definitely keep you informed of the discussions that we have with the county, and we're like I said, we're hopeful that we'll be able to resolve this for our members moving forward.
I'll just say I appreciate the comments, Mr. Kryman, and Godspeed to you on getting this stuff handled.
Thank you.
One quick question. Does the attitude or the atmosphere seem like it's changing a little bit, Mr. Kryman?
Well, I think that I would have to say yes, because they haven't walked away from the table. They haven't said no. And so they have exchanged, the county have been exchanging information and been very forthright about what their plans are moving forward. So from that perspective, I think things are better in terms of how we're communicating with one another. I think the general attitude with the county, or at least what we hear in some of the discussions, is, you know, they're concerned about the bottom line. You have competing interest between, you know, dealing with homelessness and other issues is what we hear. Taking care of the indigent population in the hospitals, and they have to weigh that and balance it with the requests that we're making. I'm in agreement that I don't think that a $2 million premium is going to break the bank with the county, but those are things that they're trying to balance. And so I think that the attitude is different, the atmosphere is different, but we still have quite a ways to go before we resolve this.
One thing I would say, Mr. Kryman, is if you look 10 years down the road, okay, and let's say the million now is 500,000, okay, from where it was when we started this, and I wasn't around when you started this plan. So that's going to diminish that number even, I mean, greater in 10 years. So who knows what the actual number will be that our retirees will have in 10 years. And this thing keeps on getting worse if they don't solve the problem today. So excuse me for being a little hot about this, because I started this 8 years ago with the CEO and our people, and Catherine Barger was there, and nothing has happened. And I just hope this doesn't continue, because we're going to put our retirees in a major problem. They're going to have to change plans. They're going to have to change doctors, and who knows how bad it'll be, you know, with the cost of healthcare going up.
Any other questions? Thank you all. It was a good discussion. We'll go to item D, federal legislation. Steve?
Right to the quick here. On Monday, the Biden administration announced it would end the public health emergency and national emergency related to COVID-19. That effective date will be May 11th, 2023. Because LACERA's population includes both Medicare and non-Medicare eligibles, we're going to go back to each of your vendor partners and detail specifically how this ending of the national emergency is going to impact reimbursements of plans. So for instance, testing, treatment, et cetera. And we'll get that back to you, but that's, we've got a little bit of time, but we'll do that very quickly to kind of make sure everyone's informed about how plans will impact members.
Any other questions? Item 5, items for staff review.
I have nothing.
Items for future agendas. Item 6.
I have nothing there.
Nothing, Cassandra? Item 7, good of the order. Does anyone have anything for good of the order? I'm not seeing anything, so we're at item number 8, adjournment. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move.
I'll move it.
Staff, how long would you like before we get started with the regular meeting? Santos?
Can we get 10 minutes?
Absolutely. We'll kick off at 9:11.
Thank you.
And this committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.